Chapter 231. If you could please rise for the flag salute.
March 14th, 2018.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. And if we could, we had a very long time member of our community, Mr. Howard Olson, who just recently passed away. Keep him in our prayers.
The students and faculty of Bethlehem High School.
Amen. Can I roll call, please?
Mr. Barbetto?
Here.
Ms. Gibbons?
Here.
Mr. Hughes?
Here.
Mayor Venezia?
Present. Then we have a little chronicle on the agenda thing here. It's actually supposed to be open to the public, which is what we're going to do first. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any questions? Issues, topics? Feel free. Judy Casagrande.
Hi, I'd just like to thank everyone that came to my meeting to work together for Estell Manor. I really appreciate your input and people that were interested that couldn't make it and have been helping with some ideas. I appreciate that the mayor and council president came and supported the idea and gave us some good information. So I just wanted to say thank you very much.
You're welcome for your hard work.
Glad we were there. Anyone else? Sir?
Hey, Joe. John Smith, is it okay if I come up?
Sure.
John Smith, Wackel, and I got Kathy Midland with Wackel also, to discuss the pavilion concession stand.
Okay, but we actually do have that on the agenda.
Oh, that's
We
fine.
actually
I wasn't sure.
Do you need to leave early tonight? Because
Nope,
if you
I gotta
do,
wait.
we can make arrangements. If you want to just briefly say something, that's fine. I mean, you're.
No, that's fine. I just thought it wasn't public. I saw it on the agenda, but I didn't know the order, so we can wait.
You're gonna have all the time in the world to make your presentation, which you need to do. I appreciate that. Anyone else in the public?
I actually do, Kathy Manor, and I'm asking actually on behalf of the school. We wanted to know if we could still rely on the school to salt and plow, the city to salt and plow the school, in the event of snow.
We did that last night, I believe. We were out there.
Yes, but it was still a little slushy. It did melt by the time the kids got there, but we heard about, cutting back of hours. We just want to make sure that we get whatever we need done over there, or if anything has been changing, so.
Let's cross our fingers and hope that this is the last time we gotta put any more salt down until
Yes,
at the end of the year at this point, but I
but this year and the years following, we didn't know if we had to make that.
rest assured, we will always take care of salt in the parking lot, drive-through the schools. That's not an issue at all. But thank you for your concern, I appreciate it. Anyone else in the public that would like to express anything?
Well, I'd like to recognize John Garrett, who just published his first children's book.
Yes.
That's available on
Could you
Amazon,
state your
Barnes
name
and
and,
Noble. Oh, I'm
your
sorry,
address, please, ma'am?
apologize. Jeannie Olson, 164 7th Avenue East. Yeah, John Garrett just published his first children's book. It's on Barnes and Noble and Amazon. Yes, it's called Catfish Jack. Yeah, I just thought it's a pretty cool thing. Yeah,
We're
come on.
gonna be the next Dr.
Yeah,
Susan
no.
Estell Manor.
Hey, maybe, right?
Anyone else? Seeing none? Once? Twice? Motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next, moving down the list here, we have a little unfinished business from the last month that we met, and it's got to do with the nomination of the risk management consultant. I am going to move forward again with Hardenberg. I make the nomination for Hardenberg as our risk management consultant, and I will also do that in the form of a motion.
That's a new issue. That's already been voted on by council, and it failed. At the last meeting.
That may be correct, Larry, but tell me something. Are there any conflicts of interest that exist with this that you are aware of?
Conflict of interest as far as What?
Does anybody have a family member that works in the company that you want to have?
Not that I know
You have no idea.
of. I have no idea that anybody that works here in this city is,
Does anybody sitting at the table have a family member that works for McMahon Agency?
I don't.
Excuse me?
I don't. I do not have.
I do not either.
Does anyone else?
Not at all.
Okay.
Anyone have a family member that works at McMahon Agency or did in the immediate past?
No.
No.
No one sitting at the table.
Well, that's what we're telling you, Joe. There's nobody here, at least I'm speaking for myself. I don't know of anyone related to me or in connection with me that's ever worked or continued to work for Hardenberg Insurance, or for McMahon Insurance Agency.
I'm aware of someone.
Well, spit it out.
I want to take it into closed session. Not now, of course, but at the end of the meeting. But I still have my nomination that's out there for Hardenberg Insurance. Okay, that's your one. Next, we have the position that is vacated by myself as city councilman. And in spite of a ruling that took place back in December when a lawsuit was filed. And as everybody may be aware, there was a tied race. And the two defendants in the lawsuit was Steve Fitz and myself. Steve, as one of the defendants, was listed as Steve Fitz of the Republican Party. Joe Venezia, that being me, was listed as Independent Conservative Leadership Party. I have vacated that seat, in which now, that actually, in fact, does become my three names that I'm submitting to the governing body, because even speaking with the previous county clerk, who has told me the same thing back in 2006, that is my nomination. I also have the right to have the designation for the appointment. So I have given three names to the governing body, and I will tell you that one name in particular has withdrawn, Mr. Ed Burns, because he is working a lot of nights and he doesn't believe that he's going to be able to fulfill his role as a councilman because he's working too many nights on his shift. So that leaves us down to two names, and I have supplied Helen Garrett and Betsy Owen. I'd like to call them to come forward. And what we have done in the past, when there was a vacancy, the council would have the interview with the potential likelihood to fill the vacant seat, and the council will choose who we want to have.
Before we go into that, explain to me why you think that you have, since you're running as an independent, you as an independent, not as a particular party, that you have that open camp, you have that right.
I can assure you, Larry, I've spoken to two different attorneys that both said the same identical thing, word for word. Because of this recent lawsuit that took place, in which I was identified as Joe Venezia of the Independent Conservative Leadership Party, therefore, our city took the position that, geez, this was a recognized party. Therefore, I ran as an independent, and by the way, Larry, just so that you're aware, I did beat both the Republican and the Democrat Party. So tell me why they have a seat at the table and not the independent.
I'm not asking that, I'm asking you if my memory corrects me, and maybe our solicitor can enlighten us. I think that that party has to gain a percentage of the vote overall in order for that to be.
That's not necessarily true. That is not necessarily true.
And do you have some documentation that would show this?
Do you?
I do not, that's why I'm asking you.
The attorney didn't come tonight. He was actually going to state the case, but I'm stating it on record that because it was identified as the Independent Conservative Leadership Party, in which I was a part of that, therefore it is my designation to supply three names to the governing body. One of them is already pulled out, and that leaves us down to two names to decide who we're going to choose as our next city council person to fill the vacant seat, and it will be an independent. it'll be an independent.
I don't.
Simple as that.
Unless you have some kind of documentation to show that what you're telling us is true, you can't sit here and just take you for your word.
I have something here that I will read off, actually. In fact, it was taken from the, Title 40. In some states, a candidate may choose to have a label other than that of an officially recognized party appear alongside his or her name on the ballot. Such labels are called political party designations. New Jersey allows candidates to use political party designations.
What you do, just print that off from somewhere?
Yeah, I printed
Oh,
off
come
of the website from Title 40. Yeah, that was smart. Right, listen, we've been down this road before in the past, and it's an independent seat that is being vacated, and therefore, the independent party should be able to have that person sitting here at this table.
And, Mayor, I hear what you're saying, but quite frankly, that's not the law. I mean, just by way of background, if the seat is vacated and the person who vacated it was from a political party, then the appointment comes from that same political party. And there are timelines and procedures under which that must happen, but that is how it works if that person is from a political party.
But Fred, you identified me in the lawsuit that I was from the Independent Conservative Leadership Party.
Let him finish.
Within New Jersey, to be a political party, that party must, in the previous assembly race, have achieved a certain percentage of the total vote. And on an annual basis, political parties are designated by the state of New Jersey. And I believe in the past administration, it was the lieutenant governor who had that role and would actually say what a political party was. And in New Jersey, at this point in time, the political parties are Democrats and Republicans. So the only way that the seat would be controlled by the same party is if the person vacating that seat were either a Democrat, in which case it would be a Democratic appointment, or a Republican, in which case it would be a Republican appointment. But the independent label is not a political party based upon the procedures in New Jersey where a certain amount of votes must be garnered in the previous assembly race. Now, very simply, that's the law.
But there's a subsection of that law as well, Fred, it says that the independent who vacates the seat and resigns from council, which I have not resigned from council, I have moved up.
Well, no, Mayor, well, clearly, you have become the mayor, no question about that. But you did resign that seat is now vacant, and what the law says is if the person who left the seat was not from a political party, and in this case, that would have to be a Democrat or a Republican, then that seat is filled within 30 days from the date of vacation by the governing body. And the governing body is wide open as to whomever they wish to nominate and put in that seat.
Fred, if you break out your Title 40 book, with all due respect, there's a key word that you have left out. That key word is may. It doesn't say shall, it says may.
It says may
Read it.
appoint.
May.
The may goes to whether or not there will be an appointment. The may does not go to the party versus independent. It can be anyone. This governing body can select anyone to fill that seat. It is not being driven by party affiliation tonight. It's that simple.
There was an independent seat that's being vacated of the independent party that I run under the banner of, and therefore, being that vacant seat, no, by the way, one candidate that's here tonight also ran under the same political party
That's all fine.
And that was-
That's great.
2 years ago.
That is fine. But to be a political party for these purposes in New Jersey, and with the mechanism in New Jersey as to having to secure a certain percentage of votes in an assembly race, it's Republicans and Democrats. This is the filling of a vacancy, and the governing body can appoint anyone to that.
Let me ask you this,
That
right?
comes from a particular party.
If it was the Libertarian Party, would that party have the right to? No?
No.
Green Party, Libertarian Party?
No,
New Jersey Constitutional Party?
no.
None.
None of them, because they have not secured the necessary votes in the assembly election that causes them to then be designated by Trenton as a political party.
It's just not the way that I was reading in the title for you all.
I apologize, Mayor, that we're not agreeing, but that's how it is. And it's unfortunate that whoever gave you the legal counsel couldn't be here tonight. I would have been glad to share and have a discussion with that person on your behalf.
Well, Madam Clerk, I want to make it on record that I am opposed, and I've already stated my case, that it is my belief that the Independent Conservative Party title has the right to make an appointment to the council. So, can we have the two people that are on record here? There's Mrs. Garrick and there is, Betsy Owen. You can come forward and have a seat here. I would like to see a resume if you have one. I think that would be helpful. What we have done in the past was we did the interviews.
If you have one extra one, I think. Thank you.
He's not gonna point you by the way. So.
Kept it short.
Joe, may I also say that on this list, there are 3 names that are still on this list.
I'm just gonna stand my ground out because I actually believe that the independent party has the right to choose the council designation.
Mr. Mayor, you've been advised by the solicitor as to the law. And I'm going to ask that we stick to that and give every one of the people that are listed on the agenda the same opportunities.
Well, I didn't really put that person's name on the agenda. We had a, Aaron, again,
You knew about that because I
that's not the way it goes, but we just don't. Anyway, let's start off with Ms. Garrett. You have a resume to supply to the council. And if you could, briefly explain why you think it would be good for you to be a member of our city council.
The second page of my resume shows that I've been dedicated and committed to this community for the 38 years I've lived here. I've volunteered many a times, I've on the county zoning board. I mean, I even go out and pick up trash for this community. And I feel I have a lot to bring to the table,
You've been a member for what, 12 years to the planning board?
at least,
Since 2006 you're appointed.
yes.
Do you have any other?
I was volunteered for Wattle for 18 years. I know just about all the young people that grew up in this community. Never had conflict. My education shows I have degrees. My job force, I work with the public all the time. I'm not intimidated by being involved in the public. More.
You don't hear an argument from me.
Okay.
Mrs. Owen?
I've been a resident for 25 years. My children are all growing up here, and I just see a lot of things happening, and I want to be more involved. And I want to do what I can to help Cincinnati become stronger and more united, and just volunteer my time to do whatever I can.
So, both expressed an interest if you'd like to be on the city council. Council, have any questions?
No, I don't. I'd just like to thank you both for coming forward.
Alan, I have one question.
Dedication to the city.
I have one question, Tom. You graduated from Vineland High School in 1970?
Yes, I did. With the diploma.
I missed you by 1 year. And next year I started teaching there.
Really? So was I lucky or what?
Or was I lucky? I'm not sure.
Never heard any negativity about our high school career, so I would say it was good. Anybody else? That's important.
Another thing, all my children have gone through our school system. And most of the residents in this community know my children. And they're all services, they all do services to their communities. And I believe that the basis of who they are, they've learned from this community. They're all service members of their communities. We're talking firemen, policemen, teachers, etc.
Well, you have a resume that you have supplied. You took the time. You've ran for city council in the past.
Yes, I have.
You didn't have a wipeout showing. You didn't do bad at all.
I went to the election
It was
board
your first
last
time
night,
around.
and actually I did quite well.
Okay.
I had quite a number of people in this community that had enough confidence in me to vote for me.
Anybody else with any questions? At this time, I'm gonna make a motion to have Mrs. Garrett as our next city council member. Is there a second?
I would like to have the opportunity, since Mr. Buchanan is listed on the agenda, for him for an opportunity to speak as well.
Okay, I'll give him that opportunity.
Buchanan?
Let's proceed with, subject to your right to make the motion for Mr. Garrett. Can we withdraw that for now, so it doesn't,
I will withdraw.
This gentleman speak.
I,
You can come back and make a second.
Okay. I would like to lead off by, first, I met Mr. Buchanan a number of years ago. Nice kid, nice family. I was encouraged with our first discussions that we had. I know you came before the board. I know that you did something rather very honorable. And you caught me at the ideal time because I was going through a similar situation with my mother at the time. I get it. You want to live next to your mom so that someday she's got somebody to help her. Yeah, exactly. And that is very commendable. So I can't say anything bad about it. One thing that I do want to say that, and this is nothing personal. Nothing personal whatsoever, but I asked you to be my running mate this year. I asked you to be Helen Garrett's running mate last year. And you said to me both times, it's just virtually impossible. You're just way too busy with your job, with your kids that are young, and you wanted to raise them first before you can get yourself involved in government. So I'm sure that in a year, or maybe just several months, your kids didn't grow up that fast.
They didn't, it's just I had more free time on the work side now. I'm in a different position, so I have more free time. I don't have to do so much after work hours. So I got a promotion, and that allows me to have more free weekends and evenings. That's pretty much what was it.
So let me ask you this.
Before we go on, Mr. Mayor, should we give Mr. Buchanan an opportunity to talk a little bit about himself?
That's what I was going to ask him. If he can give a reason, a compelling reason why it would be important for him to be a member of our
I submitted a resume, email to Larry. I was born and raised in Estell Manor, third generation, went through the schools. Most recently, I built a house here to raise my family, and I have a lot of drive. I'm young. I think I can get in touch with the next generation. I mean, I'm like half everybody's age. So it'd be nice to have some fresh minds. You know, I'm registered Republican. I'm on committees with the union, which are all Democrat. So I don't really see political parties. I just see ideas if they're good. And I like to come in with an open mind and give a better perspective or a different perspective.
What would be your goal on council? As a freshman, never having experience serving on a governing body or planning board, zoning board, anything like that,
Mhm.
what would be your goal of your first year that you would want to see happen?
My goal, just, basically honesty, ethical, good choices for the town, for the, community, the children, the school, just things like that.
And my last comment, and I will make it kind of brief, but, once again, I think you're a pretty nice guy.
Thank you.
And I want that on record, I think you're a stand-up guy. I was just rather very disappointed, I saw a lot of negativity, and you never even reached out to ask me if any of these allegations that were said were true.
No,
You were spoon-fed a bunch of lies,
this is true.
and why you went on social media to express those lies about something that I
I
did not do.
explained this to Judy. I said it was more of a gut reaction from what I was being told as opposed to the mind, but it happens.
That's what I'm saying, you have to keep it open
Everybody makes
minded.
mistakes. I mean, everybody's done stupid things. I mean, I'm not the first, so.
We all pride everyone in this room, I'm sure, all prides their reputation, and, some certain things that were said about me were rather very offensive and very hard feeling like,
And I would like to talk to you privately and discuss all the things I was told as opposed to what you say, so we can,
and somewhere in the middle,
Figure it out.
and somewhere in the middle, there'll be the truth.
well, there's always his side, your side, and the truth. There's always that. So, but it'll give me a better chance. And I think being up here, spending more time with you personally, would give me a better feel and a better idea to know what's right and what's wrong.
I do welcome that conversation between you and I.
Absolutely.
I most absolutely welcome that conversation.
Absolutely.
Members?
I did receive an email from Aaron Buchanan, and had talked to him on at least 3 different occasions regarding this position. And I feel that his background, his standing, his family, and his community, his experience in working in unions, dealing with different committees and so forth and so on in the union structure would give him an edge on the city council, so he's basically has an idea of how government runs in that respect.
Yeah, excuse me, I sit on the apprentice board committee, and I sit on the VOC committee, and I'm a personal mentor to 12 apprentices in our local. Just different committees I'm on, so involved lots.
I would make that recommendation, and I had, and there's Mr. Buchanan for this seat. So I guess the next thing is you do the nominations and we go from there, and
I have a lot of respect for Aaron, and I think that we can, without doubt, get along like gentlemen. We're gonna have differences of opinions, but, I try to be a man of my word, and I did speak to the 2 young ladies, and, I'm under the impression that it seems Mrs. Garrett would really like to be on the city council here. She's got 12 years of experience working with a governmental agency, that being the planning board. I think Helen has made some rather very good decisions on the planning board. I have seen Mrs. Garrett to be a gutsy woman. She will stand her ground even if she's the only vote. And I know the one particular vote, and you were so dead right about that, and the rest of the board was incorrect.
Correct.
And I admired what you said that night, and I just feel that, you're not gonna just listen to me. You're gonna listen to yourself, and you're gonna listen to what you think is the right thing to do. And I think that that's what we really need. Somebody who's got their own mind, their own independent way of how they do things. And I will say this, Helen, the old adage of the apples don't fall too far from the tree. You have 6 kids, 7 kids?
8.
8. You have raised one heckin' hell of a fine family. They've all got good education in college. They all have good jobs, working in the public sector. Your kids are all paper straight, every single one of them. That is a shining example of you and your husband who raised your kids properly. And I really admire you for that. And that was one of the compelling reasons why I had asked you the year before last to please consider running for city council. And you did in fact make the run to want to do it. So I think that because of that, you've demonstrated everything to this board, you've demonstrated to the entire city that you have